Hey guys, so I did it. I got that 10 horsepower diesel off eBay that everybody's been talking about, and a couple interesting facts about it we'll talk about here in a minute. But I also picked up a brand new metal diesel can. I got a funnel that came with it too. You can't see it right now, but I got a jug of 15W40 Rotella T4 diesel engine oil I'm going to use in it. Sorry about not showing the unboxing of it, but I just wanted to make sure nothing was broke and kind of destroyed the box in the process of opening it. But I haven't took the plastic completely off. I folded it down just to make sure nothing was broke or nothing on it. And everything seemed to be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and take the plastic off. We're going to set it up on the bench and look at it. Then we're going to fire it up. This thing is massive, guys. For its horsepower rating, which is 10 horsepower, and just being an aluminum block, this thing weighs 100 pounds, or 99 something to be exact. There's 104 shipping pounds. And it's still got the tag on it here. That's going to bring up another point here in a minute. Look how big that rope is on that compared to like a regular 5 horse or something. I'll tell you what, let's stick a 5 horsepower up here beside it and just get an idea of the size difference. Yeah, that's just a regular 5 horse Briggs here, model 13. And that's a 10 horsepower diesel. And in case if anybody's wondering or if they're surprised that I got a diesel engine, there's a little bit of an explanation behind it. I've always been really interested in how diesel engines work and operate, and for several years I've been trying to convert a regular gas engine to diesel. It's just there's no way to actually do it without redesigning the cylinder head completely, and I don't have access to machine shop or machine shop equipment, so if I ever pursue that even more, it's going to take a lot of work and time and money. And this wasn't cheap alone. And these are going for on eBay right now for right at about $650, $670, I think. I made a best offering with the tax and everything. It was right at $700. But this is the electric start one. You see it has a starter here, and it is pull start as well. And if you want to save a few dollars and don't need an electric start, you can get a 9 horsepower. That's probably the same engine with just recoil start and no electric starter, but it does have a place where you can put a starter on it. You can save almost $100 going that route if you don't need electric start and you want to save a few dollars. But so that's an option too. This is the voltage regulator and charging circuit. It even comes with a fuse on it. There's a lot of debate about the quality of these. And just by looking at it and how everything's machined and put together, it seemed like a decent built engine. I mean, I would compare it to the quality of the Predator engines that Harbor Freight sell. I get hated for saying that, but they're all still made in China, so there ain't much difference. Probably made in the same factory as well. So, but first dent in the gas tank. It's got a 1-inch crankshaft. And it even comes with a keyway and a bolt, which we're going to take out right now before we start, so that keyway won't fly out. As you can see, everything's aluminum. It's all aluminum block, but it's a really heavy engine. I can't believe all the bolts that are in this cover. If anybody watches Cars and Cameras videos, I watch all their go-kart mini bike builds and stuff. They bought one of these a couple months ago. He pointed out that there's an exhaust leak right here. This one has it too. You can see it's darkened right here. Look like, see, I'm walking, that soot's coming off with my fingers, you can see right there. So it's definitely been ran before, because they do test these before they ship them out. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And I remember he said on the video it was Inspector 08, and he fired him. Guess who the inspector was on this? 08. I thought that was interesting. Here's the model number of the engine. This is a 186 FAE. This is a clone of a Yanmar. I think it's a Y100. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember for sure. So I find that interesting too, because it's kind of like how the Predator line of engines copied off Honda to a certain point, at least in style. Not exactly interchangeable. At least all the parts aren't 100% interchangeable, but the style of the engine was copied off Honda. That's kind of the same thing that's going on here. And I got something else to show y'all too. Let me get this bolt and this. I might leave the keyway on there and go ahead and put a pulley on it. It does come with a tool bag. And this wasn't in the bag. If you get this, don't forget to find the extra air filter it comes with it. It's stuck inside the styrofoam. It'd be easy to throw that away. There's an extra fuel filter. The wiring for it, key switch. It actually comes with extra gaskets and a handful of tools. These are super cheap tools, wrenches and stuff, but you know, they are usable. And I like the screwdriver actually. It's a 2-in-1. Got Phillips and straight in it, so I thought that was kind of neat. But you know, are these tools usable? Yeah, they're not the greatest quality, but you know, they are tools that you can use, and the factory that makes this is generous enough to provide some tools and gaskets, which may not be always a good thing. Like when you buy an electric drill or something that comes with extra brushes, you think, well, that's probably not going to hold up very long. But you know, it is nice because you can't just go out and buy these gaskets and stuff. So it's nice to have a little bit to start with. And on the one that the Cars and Cameras got, you can see a bad air intake leak here on the manifold. And this one appears to be sealed. That doesn't mean it's not going to open up later if it gets warped or something, but at least it's starting out right. But I wanted to note that too. I still think it's funny that the same inspector inspected this as it did theirs, and they both had a exhaust leak, so I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, let's go ahead and get some oil in. I was going to mount it on my new engine stand. I think this might be too much engine for it. But I'm going to set it on it and look at it and see. But my test stand just looks kind of small next to it, but it might be alright, who knows. I've never liked the way these oil dipstick tubes go in at an angle like this. I really wish they'd put like a cap on the valve cover or something. That's something I might actually do later on. You know, thread the drill out to the top of the valve cover and put a oil fill plug on there or something. Just use this for checking it. Same way on them Honda style engines. I like to figure out a way to do that on them. I'm not exactly sure how much oil this motor takes. I read something about, like it was close to 2 quarts, but it varied between manufacturers. So this is, like I said, 15W40. You can also use 30 weight, as long as it's a diesel grade oil, because this probably will run a little bit hotter than a regular gas engine does. So I'm going to get the oil in it, and then we'll look at it here in a minute. I got just a little bit too much in it, but I'll wait till it's almost 3/4 of the way up to the high mark. But if I check it like this, it's right in the middle. So I say, time the oil gets circulated in the engine, because this does have an oil pump, it'll be real close to being right on full. If it's still too much, we'll drain a little bit out later. But also, be sure to check this oil drain plug. This was loose on this one. There's just a little tiny dab of oil in it. Some people talk about the oil that comes in it, you know, ain't no good, but it's had a tag on it that said no oil was in it, and just a residual amount from where they test them. So yeah, you feel better drain that little dab out, just probably a couple teaspoons worth. Do that. Also over here, you got this and the bolt holds it in, and I'm pretty sure this is a like an oil filter or oil strainer. So that's going to be something we'll clean out too when I change the oil in it, which will probably be a while because this ain't going to have very many hours on it. But yeah, we're getting close to starting. We're also going to bleed the injector on it, just to make it easier to start. And I'm by no means a diesel mechanic, but I have messed around with tractors and stuff at work, and I know how to do the basic stuff from the fuel system, like either priming them or bleeding injectors. Some of them have like a manual fuel pump that you can prime up and help them keep them cranking. And some people, when they've been starting these without bleeding the injector, and you can do that, but it takes a lot more cranking, and so you're putting more stress on the starter and on the cylinder and everything too, and the rings, because a diesel engine, your oil in a diesel engine, your fuel, the diesel is almost like a real fine oil anyway, so that lubricates the upper part of the cylinder and the rings. So if you're cranking this dry, you know, you're just adding more wear to it for no reason. So you always want to bleed the injector if possible. And this is the fuel injector. It's right here on top of the head. This is a return line here going to the tank. This is your main high pressure injector line coming from the injector pump, which is very simple, as you can see here. You got a fuel valve and your line there. And that's another point, you don't want to shut the fuel off and run these dry, because it puts more stress on the pump and the seals in the pump and everything. So unless you're going to be storing it for a real long time, you don't want to do that. This is a compression release here. Kick it down to activate it, and it can also be used to shut the engine off if for some reason your throttle won't shut it off. This is the throttle control, and when you bring it all the way up like this, it's supposed to shut it off. This is a full throttle here. Most of the governor parts are internal on this. You have a spring and everything, because the linkage that runs the pump is inside here. But we might have to work on all this at some point. I hope not, but you know, it is something you may have to deal with later. And also, this some people talk about these fittings being loose. We're going to check that, but I'm going to be taking it loose up here and bleeding the injector up here best I can. That'll make it a lot easier to start. So let's go ahead and get some fuel in it. We got oil in it. Now we get some fuel in it, and then we'll go ahead and wire up the key switch too, because I'm going to be using an electric start. I don't know if I'm going to be running on the bench or not. Like I said, I don't think it's going to even fit on that engine stand. The base is just too long. So either we'll have to use the foam pad in the floor, or see, we'll just let it bounce around on the floor. But I think I'll put that foam pad down and we'll just start it in the floor. I think that'd be the best way to do it. And I hope my jump start's got enough cranking amps to crank this over. If not, I'll have to get another battery I got and charge it up. But we'll just go from there. Let's get some fuel in it. And just in case there's any interest in it before I fill it up, you got a little strainer here. And also you can, probably be hard to see, but you can actually see the fuel filter how it's set up. You kind of see it there. You can see the inside of the tank as well. That fuel filter goes all the way to the bottom. Like I said, this is what it looks like. It just bolts in. Alright, so I spilled diesel everywhere in the process. I should have filled it up, or just waited to fill it up till I got it on the floor, but I just got ahead of myself. Anyway, take a quick look at the wiring here. Your red wire goes to your positive post on the solenoid, which will go to your positive on your battery. The white wire connects to the trigger on the solenoid, and your green wire plugs into the red wire for your recharge system. So that's kind of neat. It back feeds through the switch, and but yeah, let me get it down back on the floor, and then we'll start it up. And also added to put the pulley on there to keep the keyway in place. I figured that'd be easier since I just bought that pulley. That way I got something that'll work. Because like I said, this is eventually going to end up on that little tractor. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's going to be soon. But the engine that's on there's got two pulleys, and I figured it might be rusted on real bad, so I just bought this as a quick fix. But I will be putting the other pulley back on it at some point. Alright, so I got the fuel valve on. I'm going to loosen the injector. Some people talk about them being already loose, but it wasn't the case in this. You don't have to take it all the way out, because then you can bend the tube and everything. So just get it loose. And get the throttle set for about 3/4 throttle. So I'm just going to pull it over by hand. There it comes. And I'll tighten it back up. Notice I'm using the wrenches that came with it. Alright. Now let me go ahead and set the throttle to probably about a fast idle. Alright guys, we're ready. If the jump start's got enough power to crank it. runs, guys. Smoked up the garage. I forgot to mention it's also about 45 degrees out right now. That's about the temperature of the engine, so it's actually a cold start, and it started right up. Fire it up again. Well, guys, it runs. That's the main purpose of this video, just getting it running and everything, and it fired right up. If I didn't bleed the injector, it took several minutes of cranking, so that makes a huge difference when you do that. Now, you can use the electric start to prime it if you want, if you don't want to crank it over like it did. But yeah, I'm happy with it, guys, and like I said, it's going to end up on that little tractor as soon as possible, and I'm actually debating about adding a glow plug to it. I've seen some of these will come with a glow plug already installed right here, and this one didn't. But it fired right up. And like I said, it's about 40-45 degrees right now, and it fired right up. So that wasn't too bad of a start. But if it was like, 10 degrees or something like that, or 0, that's Fahrenheit too. It'd probably be really hard to start. But I don't know. I'm going to think about adding a glow plug or not later. I can do that. Just take that manifold out and drill it and tap it. Won't be too hard to do, but just a matter if I think it's necessary to do or not. That, and when I put it on the tractor, this muffler will probably be coming off to put a regular tractor style muffler with a flapper or rain cap on top of it. Because the way it's going to be sitting on the tractor, the exhaust is going to be pointing right at you. And so I could put an elbow and point it down, which I might do at it first, but I really like the sound of the regular tractor style mufflers. They just complete a little tractor like that. So that's probably what I'm going to do with that. Something else I wanted to point out as far as quality-wise on this. A lot of people are talking about questioning the quality of these, and I do too because it's made in China. But I do want to point out one thing that I noticed. The first thing I noticed on this, there's only 2 things made of plastic, except for the key switch and the keys and the insulation on the wires, and everything else appears to be metal as far as the external parts go. I'm sure the spool, the recoil spool, and probably the cogs are plastic, but the only 2 things I see plastic from the outside is the handle and the fuel cap. Everything else is aluminum or steel, and the oil filler, which that's typical. So I mean, even your air filter here, air filter cover is metal. This is metal, and that's where the exhaust is metal. Metal tank. They're not plastic knob, that's to be expected. But everything's metal. That's a plus considering up to today's standards. And with that being said, even the Predator engines from Harbor Freight, everything except for like the air breather is metal on them. But I just wanted to point that out in case anybody else was questioning the quality of these, But I think I got a good one though as far as the leaks go. This one doesn't appear to have a seal problem like that one on Cars and Cameras did. I am debating about putting a glow plug on it. If I do, it's going to be put right here in the intake manifold to serve as almost like a manifold heater. Some of these did come with those, but unfortunately I didn't get one. The only reason I'm not doing it right now is I don't want to drill a hole in a brand new engine. I just don't feel right doing it. And but I want to get your all's opinion on that too. If you think I need to add a glow plug, I just wonder how much of a difference it would make heating the air going into it instead of having the glow plug in the combustion chamber like most diesel engines have. So I got to take that into consideration too. I've heard of some people using like a heat gun to start these in extreme cold conditions. Well guys, I guess that's about it. This video just getting it running and seeing how well it runs and everything. And so you got any questions, comments, suggestions, or anything like that, feel free to leave a comment below. And no, I'm not going to be putting a turbo or anything like that on it. It's just, I don't see much point in it for something this small. But I guess later on down the road, if I really get into the diesel, there'll be an option that I can do to it. But for right now, it's going to be left probably mostly stock except for the exhaust. So, and the fuel tank will be in the front of the tractor, so that'll be easier to get to. I got to build a hood for it, that tractor too. And the tractor needs painted. This engine's going to look out of place on it until I get it painted and everything. And since this motor is black and red and aluminum, it's probably going to be painted a dark red, a lot darker than what that fuel tank is. But I might decide to paint it black too. I don't know, but it just depends. But paint's going to be last. I'm going to get the motor put on it and get the bugs worked out. I got some steering issues on it. I don't think the brake works. And needs a couple idler pulleys, I do know that. So we'll take it a step at a time. But like I said, the main part is I wanted to test this motor, just make sure it was going to run and everything in case I had to send it back or something. So, well guys, if you got any questions or comments, like I said, feel free to leave it below in a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, thanks for watching guys. We'll catch you later.